Let me see if I can hear anything. Yeah, I can hear something there. Huh. Oh, it looks like you're muted. That may be why I can't hear you. Um, you have to unmute your microphone. Can you hear me? All right. So down below, there's a microphone symbol that says mute underneath it. You'll see some directions down below, some icons that say mute, stop cam settings, present, and leave studio. Just click on that mute mic symbol, and that should unmute you. You're not seeing it? Well, the problem is not the microphone as much as it is just the fact that the mic button is muted. So you don't see a little microphone symbol underneath your screen with the word mute? Um, well, I don't know how to best direct you to this. If you're looking at the StreamYard setup there with the two of us on the screen, right below you, you should see you and me in little boxes, and then beneath that, mute. Oh, are we live? Looks like we're live. All right. So I can now chat. How about that? No, so they're not hearing any audio. So Magoo, you got it. You should be able to just look below you here and see a little box that has a microphone symbol and the word mute there. And it probably has an arrow, a line through it right now. Let me see how I can best describe this. Let's see. Bear with me as I draw a little picture of a microphone. Oop. It would look something like that. Little box with a microphone symbol. And right now mine says mute, but yours should say unmute. And if you click on that symbol, it should turn your microphone on. And it's right below you. Or it should be right below you. Well, I mean, to a Northern Girl who's saying, could the sound problem be with Tori's laptop sound and not StreamYard? That's possible, except I'm looking at the screen here, and the microphone symbol does have a mute slash through it. So generally, the first thing you can try is just clicking the mute button to see if that unmutes it. If it's something more than that, then we'd have to go into some of these settings on the laptop. But right now, the easiest thing to try would be just to click that button. Because if I mute mine right now, my mic was muted right there. And then on the screen, for me, it showed the mic with a slash in it. And I wish I could control Tori's from my side here, but I can't. YouTube watcher says, hi, Mark and Bunky. Many family video calls. I spend the first 15 minutes fixing audio for my mom. Brings back memories. Well, I'm glad that we can walk down memory lane with you. Oh, I've had these problems myself. You're talking, Tori, but none of us can hear you. No, where's my phone? Sounds like you're calling me, right? Okay. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. So I look for my phone here. I'll be right back. See an icon? Well, there I am, right there. I was not on the stage, and it looks like I am now. Right.
You were, but then you left.
I know.
Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you over the phone.
Shit. What? All right. Well, I have the things all the way over to the right by the time,
My situation right now is we've got this make the best of what's around comment on the screen blocking the mute symbol. It would be helpful if you could remove that from the screen.
What do I remove?
Well, the comment there, oh, I'm going wacky.
Remove which comment?
Well, when I'm looking at the screen right now, I'm seeing a comment from Make the Best of What's Around saying, Mark is audible. Do you not see that comment?
Mine says Magoo Mark is getting his phone.
Okay. Well, Magooski,
I think this is an epic fail. Shit.
let me see what I can do here.
Where else would it be? Banners, media, style, private message. Underneath it has the battery, which is fully charged. Speaker.
No, don't be looking. Don't be looking all the way down at the bottom of your computer screen where you see all the stuff that are icons for your computer.
So look for what?
But if you're on the StreamYard site right now, which you are, there should be a video box where you can see you and me on the screen.
Right.
And then right below that, in the bottom left corner of that, mute. Yes.
There you go.
Wow, it worked.
It worked.
Nothing to it.
And now you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly, and so can everybody else.
Oh, God. Thank you, Bunky. I thought you meant all the way at the laptop at the bottom.
Nope.
So,
There you go. We got it.
See, that's the advantage of having these home phones, though. Everybody can laugh at them, but we can call each other when we're online.
Yep.
And without that, that wouldn't have worked. So, hi, everybody. How are you? And Bunky, this is Mr. Mark Bunker, the master of computers.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate all of you taking the time to help he and I so that I found that. I didn't even know where you were talking about. I thought you meant way at the bottom of the computer.
Nope.
The laptop.
It's just the functions of StreamYard.
And somehow that got muted.
Somehow. That happens from time to time. You can mute that and turn your camera off at any time. You turn it off and turn it back on again.
I knew you can turn off. I have a little thing at the way top that you can turn it off and on.
Okay. All right, Magoo. Well, I talked to Joy Vila earlier today, and I had my own 15 minutes worth of tech issues as we were trying to get that thing working.
I heard your interview. That was very good. I mean, she had a lot to say. It was good.
She does. Yeah. And for some reason, my computer, and I hope it's showing up okay for everybody who's watching this right now.
Yeah, let us know if it is or isn't.
It seems to be streaming fine from what I can see here, but I've had some issues where my internet connection has not been working properly. And like for the interview I did with Joy this afternoon, she was a frozen image and then really just a black screen for me, but everybody else could watch it fine. I took a look at the video afterwards, and it was crystal clear. It was streaming fine.
That happened to me the other night. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Well, and I kept apologizing, and then the next day I turned it on and I could hear the whole thing. So
we are up and running now.
We are up and running now.
What do you want to talk about, Magoo?
All right. So first of all, I know a couple of people have asked me, and I know you and I have talked about it, but these are newer people that haven't heard it, and they wanted to know how Mark, when I met him, I was in Scientology, and he was a critic. with a camera. And Scientology didn't like cameras. They never have. That's why there's not a lot of photographs of the early days in Scientology, because if you had a camera, you were either the FBI, CIA, or a journalist. And all of them, they were like big red X, get rid of him, get him out. So you showed up, he had one of those big professional cameras, and they did not like you at all. They were like, just because of the camera, it had nothing to do with you.
And I'm so adorable.
You are. I know. I thought you were right when I met you. I mean, I didn't really, even though you were a critic, I still thought you were very sweet. So that's why I didn't go over to your house. They wanted me to go over to Mark's house. This is what someone asked me. They wanted me to go over to Mark's house with a protest sign. And I'm not even, it's so gross, I'm not even going to say what it is. But I said to them, you don't know that's true. You're just pulling that out of your ass. That is not true. I don't even know this guy, but I know that what you're saying is not true. I know it. And I'm not going to go over there with a protest sign saying that. But that guy, Dan Renan, said, well, I will. And he went over there, and you had it on your website with him out in front of your house for about 10 or 20 years, I think, right?
Well, yeah, as long as the website was up, I had it up there from 1999 till, 2015 or so, probably, before the website disappeared. But I mean, the video continues to live on YouTube. Once YouTube became successful and you could stream longer form videos and the quality was better, it just made more sense for me to put my stuff on YouTube where everyone was watching it,
right?
Than keeping it on a website.
Right. But people were asking me and still ask me, how did you feel? And how did your neighbors feel about, did it affect them at all or affect you at all? Or it was just like typical Scientology BS?
Well, I mean, this happened. Dan came over the day after a weekend protest of Scientology for, I believe it was L. Ron Hubbard's birthday.
Oh.
And there were people who flew in from around the world for that. And I shot some video of that in LA. And then the next day I went out to Gold with one critic that you didn't care much for, Don Knotts. And we shot some footage out there, and they followed us everywhere. And the next day, I was talking to, actually, the first thing that happened the following day, I got a phone call from one of my neighbors saying, "Are you Mark Bunker?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I'm supposed to fear you." And I just broke into laughter because I knew at that moment that Scientology had leafleted the neighborhood. And yeah, she read off the flyer,
with your phone number on it, right?
Yeah. My phone number was hand printed on it. The flyer itself was printed and Xeroxed, right. And it said, "Beware your neighbor. Mark Bunker is not who you think he is." Not who you think he is. Something like that. And my neighbor thought, "Oh, we have a child molester moving into the neighborhood. What's going on here?" But then below it, it said he sits in front of his computer screen all day long, spewing out hatred toward a church. And at the bottom, they actually made the mistake of putting Church of Scientology as the people responsible for it. So right there, I mean, we just got a good laugh out of the fact that they were leafleting the neighborhood. But I had a police officer who lived upstairs from me. I was renting part of a house.
Perfect.
He and his girlfriend had the upper part of the house. And I went up to talk to him and tell him, "Listen, it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible that Scientology might come here to picket me, because they've been doing that across the country at other critics' homes."
Right.
And as I said that, I looked out the window and 2 Scientologists had shown up with picket signs right at that moment. So I ran down and grabbed my camera and went out and shot that footage of Dan Mernon, and then D was the other fellow, and put that online. And, that's the last time they came to protest at my house.
That's the one way to handle it. I mean, that's why you see with the live streamers, they're all shut in.
Yeah.
Because, the cameras, when you and I and many people used to protest, and there were a few cameras. You were one of them. But there weren't a lot. Like when I was out in front of the recruiting center, by Hollywood and Highland, we were out there picketing, and this guy came around the corner and just slammed me really hard in the chest. I mean, it really hurt. And he ran right inside, and of course they protected him. And so they can be really mean when they want to be. But
yeah. I remember you're talking about that big camera. I remember there were a couple instances. One where on that 4th of July weekend where we met,
right.
When somebody came up and was trying to put a magnet on the back of my camera.
That's right. That's what they told me.
Yeah, thinking that it was going to like erase my videotape.
That's what they said.
Yeah, and it failed. But somebody. Oh, as a matter of fact, I could sense that somebody was tinkering with the camera behind me, and I said something to you about, is there somebody toying with my camera? No, you said. Magoo.
Okay, I was at the time.
Then later days, you did tell me about other instances that were very similar, where they're trying to screw with the camera.
And you,
me.
That 4th of July weekend, this is our 25th anniversary. Really, it's kind of neat. We're doing a video now. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
It is. But on 4th of July, right around that weekend, huh?
This was the 26th anniversary of that, because it was 1999 when we met.
For you, 25th for me.
Well, 25th anniversary out, but I mean, if you're talking about the anniversary of us having this encounter for the first time on the street, that happened on 4th of July, 1999.
Okay, so, fair enough. So it was 40. It is 26, with me still being in for a few months, and then I woke up and escaped out. And you were part of it, of me waking up for sure.
Of course I am. Of course I am. Everything good in the world comes from me. I'm the nucleus of it all.
What is it you said? You're the king?
I'm the wise beard man.
No, yeah, well, for sure you're the wise beard man, but you have some other name that you said everybody calls you that now.
No. Well, I was Mr. Media for a long time.
No, come on. It's like the king, but it isn't the king. You're the best of the best.
I'm tip top. I'm number
you'll
one.
have to go back and watch one of your videos.
National treasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping.
You're welcome.
And Tori, if you want to, you can push a little button that says remove that comment from the screen. So we're not looking at the same Marcus Audible comment through this entire video.
Where do I push the button?
Do you see all the chat and the comments on the right side of the screen?
Yeah.
So if you go all the way up to where the top comment is, there's usually something that says remove comment.
Current comment.
There you did. It was done. Okay.
Wow.
I don't know if you did it or if you have a mod who did it.
I think I did it, but maybe my mod did it. Hey, hi, Sophie.
Hooray.
I don't know if she just came on, but anyway, thank all of you for hanging with me. We had a little bit of a sound glitch. Oh, JB808, thank you. We're both royalty to JB808. And you
There
are
you go.
to us. I'll email Tori this week. All right, good. The national treasure. That's right. That's right. I should have that underneath your name, but I don't know how to do it.
Because I'm so humble, I forgot that I'm a national treasure.
I had to remind you.
Yes, it's shocking to realize that I hold this position in the country. But
And I want to say hi to Rib Guy. I guess he's here. Good to see him. He's been working hard. Tony, Unstoppable SP. Doesn't matter to you, not to me. Good to see you. That's Rib Guy. Except my name's Tory, not Tori. Let me remind people. Lady Jane out. Nice. 49ers for life. All right, good. So all these wonderful people are here. Now, JB808 does have a question. Mark discussed this a bit today. What do you think it'll take to get Scientology's tax exempt status revoked?
it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a miracle, is what it's going to take.
That's
but
why I'm laughing. I mean, it's not a couple sentence answer.
Yeah, I'm happy that Joy Vila is meeting with somebody on that. The problem is, you got to find somebody bold in Congress who would say, yeah, let's hold hearings on this. That's the first step. And who would possibly be interested in doing that? Unless, Joyce got so many connections, maybe she can talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene and convince her to, hey, let's open up hearings.
You never know what might come about.
But my fear, though, is that we're in such a horrific state of affairs with our political parties nowadays that nobody is really going to take the time to.
No, not right now.
We can't get important things done.
Right.
Unless, of course, it's kidnapping people off the street and sending them to prison somewhere,
right,
where
then
there's no recourse. Yeah, that we can get done like that.
Yeah.
Chasing down women who are out in their yards picking prunes and say, okay, you got to get out of here. I know you're beloved and you've been living here 50 years. Yeah.
So
yep. But that's us on a soapbox, and I'm sure no one wants to hear that, unfortunately. But
well, it's all right. I heard a nice thing last night on the news where they said they had this woman on who represented a whole organization of people that are actually helping the children who, these guys come and take the parents and then leave the kids. And so this group is formed to go to their homes and try to help them and find solace for them and maybe family that they can go to, other family.
No. It won't be long before Trump rounds up those kids too, because they've already said, if the parents are deported, the kids should go with them. I don't care if they were born here in the States, they should go with them. So it's only a matter of time before they pick them up and send them off to the gulag.
And white people too. That's what I heard. They're going to be coming after us.
Yep. We'll be among the first white people to be nabbed, Magoo, because they can hear us. The government right now is listening us to talking.
And Scientology will pay them. They'll say, hey, get these guys. These guys are bad news. All right, now Stacy Toms asked me, Tori, do you remember the first book that wasn't a C of S book that you read when you left the cult? Well, first of all, I'm a big reader. So I was reading all through when I was in the cult, not necessarily, I never read the 3 books, A Piece of Blue Sky, those things, because it was in data, just bad news. But the first book that I do definitely remember, because I was watching TV, I had woken up and I just felt like, I know what happened. It was before I woke up. and I was still in the cult, and I had massive migraine headaches. And I'd been on OT7, which is like the top of the pyramid almost. And I'd been on it for 7 years, and it wasn't helping. And in this book, they had these 4 gay guys on TV. And this was back when AIDS was really big. Remember that? And people were dying of AIDS. I don't know if any of you on here know that, but we went through a phase where lots of people who were gay died. That was just it. It was like if you got AIDS, you were, it was kind of a sentence. So these 4 guys came on and they said, we used this book, and they held it up and they said, and we are alive and well. That's it. And I thought, okay, I'm getting the book. I don't have AIDS, but I have headaches. And if it can handle AIDS, it can handle headaches. So I've got it, and it's called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. That's the name of it. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And yes, I was in Scientology, and that was very squirrely to do, but you know what? I didn't care. It didn't work. I'd paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do this stupid OT7 that never worked for me from day one. And now I was in so much pain. It was just like, I have to do something. And I don't know if it helped handle the headaches, because actually a lady at Flag helped me get on. She helped me realize I was on premenopause, and I just needed, those things for menopause, whatever women take. But it's like, I forget the names of them. But anyway, she said, just get the natural version of it, and that'll handle it. And
well, there you go. Well, Scientology works. Look,
the lady who was an internal medicine doctor worked. She showed up and said, all of us were sick in one way or another. And she came on with this book and slammed it down on the table called The Silent Passage. And she said, how many of you have read this book? And we all went, not me. I mean, none of us had. And she said, here's the deal. This is never talked about in our country. I don't know if it is in the rest of the world, but it certainly isn't here. I'm an internal medicine doctor. I've been on this level with you guys for years. And I think we all are premenopause or menopause. And the guys running this show are guys. They don't know about menopause. They don't know what'll help it or what the symptoms are. So you guys get this book, read it, and do it. And I was out in the jacuzzi with her, and I had a diary of all the times when I got a headache. And it was almost once a month, but it wasn't when I had my period. So I didn't know what it was. And she goes, it's when you ovulate, 100%. It's every, because I had records of it. So she said, get, what are those 2 things that you can get? Someone on here must know. I've
never ovulated.
Huh?
And my menopausal stage went over just smoothly. So I didn't have to take anything. So I'm not sure. And unfortunately, there has not been a woman by my side facing these things that I've had to learn about any of this stuff.
All right.
Estrogen. Oh, well, look at this. The folks out there, are just letting us know. Estrogen and
progesterone. That's it. Estrogen and progesterone. Thank you, Mark. I knew you'd come up with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a genius.
Someone else did, right? Who did?
Yes, that would Love It as the one who
Thank you, Love It. Okay, so that's what it was. And she said, just get the natural. I went to Dr. Dank. I said to Megan Shields, who I knew also had massive migraine headaches. And I told her what this lady had said. And I said, I want estrogen, progesterone. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you have to say. I want it natural. Get it. And she said, deal. And that was the last migraine headache I ever had. But I do think that book helped me wake up. I do, because you can heal your life. And it had a lot of different stuff in it. It helped jar a lot of stuff. So it was a good book. And that's a good question. What was your first book? What was your first book? You weren't in the cult, so you don't have a first book.
No, my first book was the complete collection of Sherlock Holmes, which I carried around with me.
Oh, my brother's a big Sherlock Holmes fan.
Mm-hmm. big thick volume that I took with me to school.
All right, Stacy, I hope you heard the answer to that. She said she has to run. Okay. I don't know it says share your referral link. I don't want to do that. How do I get rid of that, Mark? Okay. I don't know. I clicked on something and it went away.
Well, there you go. That's how you do it.
There you go.
It's a snap. You're a professional. You got this down.
As witnessed by tonight. So what's new in your life, Mark?
I played hooky tonight, and after my conversation with Joy, I went to the movies because I just discovered Jurassic World Rebirth. I think is the name of it. Opened tonight. So I hopped in the car. I ran there. I saw it in 3D, and it was okay. It was better than the last few Jurassic Worlds that were made, especially this last one. I found unbearable. It's like, oh, is this thing ever going to end? And then they released it on DVD and video with more footage. No, I didn't need more of that damn film. So that kind of turned me off to all the Jurassic World films, but this one was okay. It's not getting good reviews. It was like 53% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. But I thought it played out fine, and it had the stuff you wanted in it. There were dinosaurs, if you must know.
That's good.
Yeah, there were people that were running away from dinosaurs, and some people being eaten by dinosaurs. So that's what you expect from a Jurassic World film.
Yeah.
And little kids were fed into the system. They found some way to put kids in dangerous situations with dinosaurs. So it's the whole package right there.
And let me guess, it was air conditioned?
Oh man, was it ever?
Yeah.
Actually, it was it was very comfortable at the theater tonight. There have been so many times where the theater has been freezing, and I've had to like pull my arms inside my shirt and just sit there shivering because it's so cold. Not tonight.
Good.
Tonight was fine.
Good.
I don't know if it's just because I'm old now that things are so cold. I hope not. You remember when you'd go and visit grandma's house and it would be 80 degrees on the thermostat? And you go, oh my God, I'm dying in here. Oh my God, how could, oh. And if you look at my thermostat right now, I think it's 78. It's like, yeah, man, it's cold in here. And the other thing that's great, as a little kid, I hated the big veins on old people's hands. Look at that. I got big veins on my hands now. It's like, when did that happen? I know, it's scary.
I know it happens.
Good Lord.
Look at how long my fingers are. Put your hand up to mine.
Huh? Is that working?
We can't. But mine are, I have like piano hands. And I used to play the piano, and I had a piano. I won a piano on Let's Make a Deal.
Wow.
I know. It was really great. I was supposed to win it on the Newlywed Game with Harold. And that's what we checked off. But instead we won a beautiful camper and a year's supply of rose milk skin cream, Shasta Cola, and something else. I mean, it was like cases and cases. They just keep showing up. And we lived in a little tiny house behind an apartment building. And it was like, where are we going to put all these shit? So every person who'd come to our house, we'd say, here's some Shasta Cola. And it wasn't like a piece of cola. It was like a case of cola. Yeah. Here's a case of rose milk skin cream. And they'd all say, I don't want it. And I'd say, I don't care.
Did they send it all at once, or did they send it to you on like a monthly basis? Here's your next shipment of Shasta.
It was all at once, but it took weeks to get it all over to us. Also, because we had nowhere to put it, so it took them a little bit of time. But we gave it away to everybody. And then we had to sell the camper because I met Harold at Celebrity Center. We lived in the Manor Hotel, which used to be Celebrity Center before it was Celebrity Center. And they'd bought it and they were making it into Celebrity Center. But Harold and I lived there. And then we won the Newlywed Game. And so they were going to charge us, and this is in 1974, they were going to charge us $200 a week to park the trailer camper in their garage.
Good
so
Lord.
We tracked down where the Newlywed Game bought it from and sold it back to them for wholesale price. We just figured better to get rid of it than have to pay all that every week or every month.
Yeah. And you also have to pay taxes on all those things too. So there are a lot of things that when I won on the game show I was on, we gave a lot of stuff. Or we just turned down
you won a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, $44,000 in valuable cash and prizes.
That's pretty good. Which one were you on?
Break the Bank.
Break the Bank.
It's a syndicated show. It was fun.
That's a lot of $44,000. That's good.
Yeah, it turned out about $8,000 cash for both me and the woman I was on the show with, Denise.
That's good.
And then we split up, whoever needed the prizes got the prizes. And a lot of things we just turned down because she dumped me between shows. So we won a lot of trips like to Bermuda and the Bahamas and Hawaii. And we just turned them all down because you couldn't take somebody else. They're non-substitutable. So she couldn't take some guy and I couldn't take some gal. I couldn't take some guy either, or she couldn't take a gal. Just you couldn't take anyone.
Wow.
But that if you forfeit the gift, then you don't have to pay the taxes on it.
That's good. That's good.
And then the one thing that I did take, I mentioned this in a previous video, that I had a pool table that did not fit in my apartment. But I thought we won a pool table.
Oh.
And I thought, I'm going to sell this. But in order to sell it, people will want to see it. So when they delivered it, I had them set it up. And then I had to crawl around my living room to get to the kitchen. You had to cycle past the pool table to get there. And it was in there for months and months and months. Could not sell it. Finally, I just donated it to the boys club for a tax write-off.
Now, Sophie said I would just have gone on the trips by myself. Me too. Could you do that?
Yeah, I could have done that, but I did not.
Might have met a beautiful woman there.
Could have happened. Yep.
Could have happened.
Whole life could have changed right there.
But I told you about the sneaky thing that happened with my game, right?
No.
Let's Make a Deal.
What was sneaky?
You have to wait in line before the game, and for Let's Make a Deal, and they pick everybody's dressed in all these weird outfits, and I just wore that thing from the Olympics because everybody wanted to take my picture, and I only went because I went to see Jay Leno because some friends from Chicago said get us tickets for Jay Leno, so I did, and I'm there to meet them, and they don't show up. And I think, well, I never saw Jay Leno. I'll go watch it. So I watch it. And afterwards, the Newlywed Game guy comes on and goes, look, we don't have enough of an audience. Can anybody come over? And I thought, oh, okay, I can do it. So I had never watched it. And here are all these people in these nutty outfits. And I thought, wait a minute, my Olympic outfit, because everybody wanted to take my picture. Because I had, hats, flags, buttons, Olympic souvenirs, all kinds of shit. And I'd say, well, Dawn says, Mark, you're so cute. I'll be your beautiful woman. Give me your number.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go. So now I forgot what I was saying. I was telling you about
the game show and your Olympic outfit.
So they picked me. They picked me as one of the people to be in the concession stand. So now we have to stand there for an hour. And this lady in front of me is really ticked off, the mom, and her daughter is really mad. And I say, can you ask me, thank you, love it. Can you tell me like why you guys are so upset? And she goes, well, my daughter was on yesterday and she came in second. And I said, okay, well, it's better than nothing. And she goes, well, you don't know the whole story. And I said, well, you know what? We've got about an hour, so why don't you tell me? So she says, all right, here's the deal. My daughter was going to pick door number 1. And this girl showed up right beforehand and said, no, don't pick door number 1. Pick door number 2. And then she's vanished. And so the girl bought it. And she said, okay, door number 2. And door number 1 had a car in it. So she was really ticked off, and I understood it. So now I go in, play the game, bop, bop, bop. Do you want $100? You want to keep it or save it? You know, I do the whole thing, and I get up to the end, and it's just me and another couple. And then this girl shows up just like they said. And she goes, pick door number 2. And I go, what's in door number 2? You know, kind of like that. And she goes, try Europe. She doesn't say it is Europe. She says, try Europe. And I think, okay, Harold and I are both working. We're in the cult. You know, we're on course. I can't really go. We can't go to Europe. So I think just get it out of your head. And I don't know if she's lying or not. So I think get it out of your head and just pick the door you want. So I say door number 3. And that's the winning door. She was lying. Pretty sneaky.
It is shocking to hear that there's dishonesty in game shows. Everything on my show is up and up. We won fair and square. There was no playing around. We were just great game players.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember why we didn't, or at least I didn't take any of the trips because I was a working stiff, and getting time off to fly to Bermuda by myself, that wasn't really feasible.
Right.
And you had to pay taxes on it if you took it. So it was just easier to say, it's good.
Yeah, screw it. Now, Eric mentioned, did I say Jay Leno or Johnny Carson?
You said Jay Leno.
Okay, I meant Johnny Carson. And you're right. Johnny Carson was on before Jay Leno, and I had never seen Johnny Carson. That's what I meant. And so I went to see the Johnny Carson show. It was in the 80s, 84.
Yeah. I got to see Johnny once in the audience as well. And I was shocked that during the first commercial break, he actually talked to the audience members,
Right.
Came up on the steps and was talking to people. I thought for sure Johnny would be a hermit and he'd just go sit at his desk like, for instance, Dave Letterman might do. But no, and it was interesting seeing him. And then I saw Joan Rivers at one point as well. But I was wearing a David Letterman t-shirt that a friend had given me. And she zeroed in on me in the audience and was just glaring at me the entire show. Because when Joan left, she was the permanent guest host of The Tonight Show for a while.
I remember.
And then she took a job over at Fox without telling Johnny. And so she was banned for life from The Tonight Show and also
that was
Letterman show. Yeah. So she couldn't appear on Late Night with Dave Letterman until toward the end of her life, on the CBS Late Show with Dave Letterman. He invited her on as a guest then. And she was a remarkably funny woman for somebody who was of an older generation. She, a lot of times the jokes just become, oh, come on. It's like Milton Berle time, this is embarrassing. Or Bob Hope in his later years.
Yeah.
But she was remarkably hip and funny right to the end.
No, I agree.
And she worked hard at it. So I'm glad that she found a renewed audience toward the end. And I don't know if you ever saw it, but there was a really great documentary that followed Joan around
Yeah.
as she put an act together and went on tour and stuff like that. Very, very good film. Can't remember the name of it, but it's that documentary about her.
It's about Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, yeah. I'm
Have
going
you
to watch
seen-
this one that's on HBO now. I think it's on HBO. My Mom, Jane Mansfield, or I think it's called My Mom, Jane.
Yeah.
And it's this woman that I never watched this show she's on, but she's been on it for 20 some years, I guess.
Wow.
Marissa Hargitay. And I never paid attention to Jane Mansfield at all. She was one of those actresses that was like a clone of Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah,
kind of a
I felt the
low
same.
rent Marilyn. Yeah.
Exactly the same. And I know
And I didn't think she did anything of worth. But then recently I watched a couple of her films. One, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, which was starring Tony Randall and her. Very funny film. I was amazed, and she was very good in it.
Yeah.
But it was it. I know I'm boring you to tears with this, but it
You're
was
not.
directed by Frank Tashlin, who was one of the directors of the Bugs Bunny Warner Brothers cartoons back in the 40s. And he started doing live action comedies. And he brought this same kind of far out animated type of sensibility to his live action films.
Wow.
So that one, if you have a chance to see it, it's well worth watching. Will Success Spoil
And what's it called?
Rock Hunter? Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter?
Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter?
Yeah, it's from the 60s, and it's one of those films that was, not a huge success, not a Oscar winner.
And
But
where would I find it?
I guess you'd have to check with your local library. They have a lot of things on a DVD.
Oh, that's
there.
a good idea. Do you remember Chasen's? Do you remember that Harold worked at Chasen's?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to tell you the image you have of Johnny Carson was exactly that at Chasen's. Like, in other words,
What do you mean?
That he was on the show, he was wonderful. He loved being on that show. He loved helping entertainers become successful. He was just a wonderful guy and came out in the audience, was friendly. But at Chasen's, he was a absolute jerk. Didn't want to talk to anybody, get away from me, no audio. I'm not giving you an autograph. No, Harold was always amazed because he seems like such a friendly, nice guy, but he wasn't at Chasen's.
Yeah, and apparently a big lush too. So drinking was a huge problem for him.
Right.
Love It says Mark Bunker, Jane is a great documentary, and I am going to watch that. This spurred me on to look into some more of her films. It's surprising that Marissa Hargitay, who's the daughter of Jane Mansfield, said she was always embarrassed by the sex pot stuff that mom was doing. And her mom died when she was 3.
Wow.
And it wasn't until they did this documentary that the family kind of sat down, and there's something revealed in the documentary that was a shock to her. But it paints a different picture of Jane Mansfield as a talented, smart woman who was playing this part. And unfortunately, it became increasingly difficult for her to play that part in the last years of her life, when she was reduced to doing some really low budget stuff. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough about that. Yeah, Tony Randall is in that film, and that makes it worth watching right there.
All right. So now back to Scientology.
Oh, that.
Good to see you again, Kelly. Why Watcher says, you missed Mark giving Tori some audio assistance at the beginning. Sorry about
Thing is that lives on. You can go back and watch the whole thing play out again.
that. True.
And if you look at my first live streams, there's a huge chunk where I'm just blabbing away with no mic on and not paying attention to anything. So it's like, oh, okay, skip past that first 14 minutes.
All right. So when you met me, what were your first impressions of me?
I thought you were delightful.
Promise?
Well, I thought your British accent was very weak.
That was awful. That was awful.
But
the only first was my Norwegian accent.
Yes. The first time I met you is that day when you were trying to chase me away, and I wound up following Dan Mernon down the street and over to the freeway.
I know. I was worried about you.
So
I thought, I don't know what they're going to do to you. And you were like out of any kind of zone where the police might see anything happening. And I just thought, Bunky, I didn't really know you, but I was worried about you.
Well, everything was fine. And so I didn't really interact with you much that night. But then the next one at the Shrine Auditorium or Staples Center, something like that. You and Harold, I would see at other pickets, and the two of you were fun.
I know. We liked you. We both would come home and say, we like Bunker, and it was weird because you were definitely a critic, but you're just you, it's like, how can you not like you?
Yeah. I mean, right then and there, you should have seen that I was a national treasure.
I did. That was the thing. I said, this guy's a national treasure. So we'll just have to welcome him. I'll have to get out of here, and that's it. The ironic thing is that I honestly, this has come up on TikTok because I have like millions of views on TikTok. And these kids are like, I don't get why you have to escape. Why did you have to escape for me? And they don't know the whole story of the top secret mafia and me opening all those accounts and all that shit. But that's the only reason. In my mind, in LAX, I was just leaving. Because they chased me across the country and canceled my van. The plane was canceled. Harold and Osa were at Chicago, and the Tampa police had to get me out of the Tampa airport because Osa was there at 1:45 in the morning. That's what turned it into an escape. Otherwise, it would have been just me leaving. It's just one of those things. But somebody asked me, did I know Arthur Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard's son? And it's really an amazing story. Because I have epilepsy and because I refused to change the definition of clear, which they kept changing every year. So it was like, well, you don't have to be caught, you don't have to have a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, no pains on all dynamics, just on your first dynamic, right? And I was like, no, that isn't what he said. And so someone came up to me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There was a whole long story about it. But Arthur Hubbard asked me to go to lunch. And I had sort of decided, I can't go clear because I have epilepsy. It's not going to work. And I refused to alter that because that's a fact. That's what I had. And so Arthur asked me to lunch, who I didn't know at all. I'd never met him. And he said, do you want to go to lunch? And I said, okay. And he said, I'm Arthur Hubbard. And so we talked for a few minutes. And he said, well, how did you get in? And I said, well, it's kind of interesting. Some kids from high school brought me this Dianetics book. And I really only read 3 chapters. And I realized that's it. This is what I want to do, is be an auditor. Because I was going to be a doctor in college. But I thought, there's no way I'm going to make it through all that studying and forget it. whereas I can zip out to California. 6 months, I'll be an auditor. Boom! I got my new career. So that was
What could go wrong?
That was what could go wrong. So he looks at me and he goes, "You're," and this is before this is out. Now everybody uses it, and it happens all the time. But no, I had never heard this term. And he goes, "You know what, Tori? You're a natural clear." And I said, "What the hell does that mean?" And he said, "You were clear last lifetime. You were with my dad. You worked with my dad." I said, "Your dad, Dianetics came out in 1950." And he said, "I know, but he was doing research before then." And so, that's what happened. He was working on you. And all of a sudden, it was just like dominoes. It was like, oh, yeah, that's right. This and this and this. And what happened in my mind was I went exterior. This is what all in 1 minute of having lunch with him. I went exterior. LRH hadn't really studied what to do with people once they do go exterior, which is going outside your body. And he didn't know what to do, and he left, and I died. So that was it. That was my plan. But I thought, I don't give a shit. I just wanted to get to OT3 because everyone said that's what you need for epilepsy, Tori. This is going to help you. So I thought, fine, I'm a last lifetime clear. I'm a natural clear. I forget, whatever it was. Anyway, I tested to it, and then I got onto OT3, and that was just as much of a bullshit thing. And, well, actually, on OT3, I thought I had huge wins until at the end when I got off my medicine and had status epilepticus and nearly died. And the doctor said 5 more minutes, and you would have been dead.
You just didn't get rid of enough BTs. I don't know what the doctor's talking about, for God's sakes. Yeah. You could have caught pneumonia and died. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Spare me. Because somebody here will hear it and think, ooh, maybe that's what I need. No, you don't. It doesn't work.
Says you. There's 10 million Scientologists in the planet. Those 10 million Scientologists would disagree with you. 100% standard tech works 100% of the time.
10 million, right?
10 million.
There's probably 10,000, if that are active.
Come on. I've heard right from the church that there's 10 million. So stop it with your nonsense.
All right. Maybe I'll use the 25th anniversary as an excuse to buy more time. JB808 says that. All right. What are you trying to ask, JB? What did I miss? Kelly, I started generating images, but it got sidetracked. Okay. I'm trying to find out what he asked. I can ask another night. No, what he asked tonight. JB has some really good questions. Okay, so JB808. Let's see if I can find him.
Oh, I see a fight breaking out over me.
What is it?
I see a fight breaking out here over me. Who was it that was craving me? Oh man,
Dawn. She wants to go with you.
Dawn? Okay. All right. Oh, okay. That's oh, there you go. Who cannot like Mark? He's so cute. I thought that was somebody else agreeing with Dawn, and that women were battling for my affection.
They are. They always are.
I'm always oblivious to it.
Tori and Mark. Eric says Tori and Mark is your YouTube grandparents when we need them about Scientology. Well,
yeah, you kids stay.
I can't find the JB808 thing. I'm looking. I think you might have to ask another night because it's like, okay, here we go. Question number 2. Okay, here we are. Okay, let's put it up here. If they aren't OT8s when they die, would they pick up the body of another Thetan and have to start over from beginning to reach clear again. Who knows? It's all BS. You understand that, right? So what they think, yeah, there's all kinds of variations of, you just drop your body and get another one. Now, how does that really work? I've sat with a Sea Org member dying, and she didn't know what the hell to do. She said, Tori, I don't know how to drop my body. I don't know what we were thinking, but I don't know. And I said, well, let's get a couple of things straight, because she was crying and upset. And I said, you were in the Sea Org for 20 years. So first of all, thank you from everyone who didn't get to thank you, because she was sort of a behind the scenes person, but worked very hard to help people. And so then she cried again. And then I said, now, secondly, do you want to go back in the Sea Org next lifetime? And she goes, hell no. So then it went from there. But I really don't know, JB808. That one, I don't know.
Yeah, and Hubbard would make up an answer and then make up a different answer the next time, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. When Scientology drops their body, this is for you, Mark, they die, what do they need to be OT8 in order to pick up a clear body in the next lifetime?
Well, I don't, can you pick up a clear body? I would think that unless, don't listen to me. I don't know. You're gonna drop dead. You're not gonna pick up another body.
Yeah, that's the fact. That's all there is to it. It's like you're gonna die, which is dropping your body, and you're gonna do whatever happens. Like I said to my roommate, who was in the Sea Org for 7 years, and he was an adamant atheist. I'm trying to find out where I have this clicked so I can unclick it.
Oh, excuse me. Usually, if you go up to the top of the comment section, you can see something that says hide it.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, so anyway, long story short, I told them, look, let's just pretend for a minute there are higher powers. And they're coming down our street, and they don't see anybody care, so they say, let's go on. I said, but what if you raise your hand and say, can anybody help me, please? And he said, you know what? I just changed from an atheist to an agnostic with that one sentence. So at least he had a little bit of something.
There you go. So I was reminded of a joke that Woody Allen told at the AFI tribute to Diane Keaton. He was introducing her to give this Lifetime Achievement Award to her. And it's a rare appearance from Woody Allen at one of these events. But he was explaining how Diane Keaton was afraid of death. And he said, death is nothing. You go in for a colonoscopy, they put you under, it's black, it's nice, it's peaceful. That's death. Death is like a colonoscopy. And the problem is life is like prep day. I like that.
I like
the crowd
that
liked it too. It was better when Woody told it, but
but it's probably true.
Yeah,
it's probably true. But we won't know. I definitely don't think it's going to be OTs and clears and no.
The only thing that I have said on a stream last night, if I die before Superman opens, I'm going to haunt the movie theaters. I'm gonna make sure that I'm in the theaters watching one way or the other.
When is it coming out?
The 12th.
Pardon me?
Coming close. The 12th of this month is opening day.
Of July?
Yeah. What's wrong with July?
Nothing except that you think you're going to die before July 11th?
Well, it could happen. I may not make it through this stream, for God's sakes. But, in case I don't make it to Superman, get ready. I'll be a spirit in the theaters eating your popcorn. How's that floating in the air? Where's that going?
Where's my purse? Oh, Bunker's here.
I have no need for your purse. I need popcorn. That's what I need.
I know.
Purse. For heaven's sakes, I'm dead. Popcorn might bring me back to life.
Well, you said you were going to haunt the theater, so
Yeah, I'm
that's
going to haunt the
why-
theater. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, does anybody have any questions for Mark? Hang on, that I didn't miss. Someone must have used your name for a stat push that week. I don't know who you're talking about. I found my name on a clear list about 4 years ago, and it was dated 1979 with a clear number. Didn't know I was clear because I only had an intensive of auditing. Wow. Yeah, 2 people have my, me and someone else has my clear number.
Well, that's not right. I'm starting to think there's some serious problems with the Scientology racket.
You're just starting?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know 2 people could have the same clear number.
They
I think
can.
there's something going on here.
It's total BS. Now, 49ers for Life asked a fair question. Tori, did you and your husband ever talk about finding each other in your next lifetime? No. And he won't talk to me now. So, because I'm a declared suppressive. And he was always afraid of SPs. Isn't that funny? Remember when he went to that one thing? I think you were at it. It was a lunch. And Osa called me and said, we need you guys to go over there. And I told Harold, I said, just
we're at a Ponderosa, I believe, a Ponderosa
and he
Steakhouse.
said, Tori, they're SPs. And I said, it doesn't matter. Just tell them jokes. They'll love it. And to this day, people go, well, we really liked your husband, but you were kind of grumpy.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, you know, I think you were both delightful.
Thank you. I do too.
Yeah.
We were a good couple. I'm sorry.
Honestly, enjoyed seeing you.
I know. I'm sorry he stayed in Scientology. I really am. But
yeah, well, that's Scientology's fault that he is trapped.
Yeah. Yeah, the funny thing, I think I was still in. No, I wasn't. I was already out. But we used to play Bruce Springsteen's song Trapped on the way home from work. And we felt like we were trapped at this awful job. And this girl and I would wail it out. It was really fun. But it's true, trapped. For anyone listening who might be in, the way out is the nearest door.
Very wise.
Open the door, walk out. There's nothing they can do. Right, Mark?
Well, they can chase you.
They're not going to chase after people. They're not.
Well, they chased you.
They chased me in 2000. They didn't have all these people with.
You were going to see those evil people at the Lisa McPherson Trust. They had to stop you.
Exactly. And they were terrified that I would tell their secrets. That was why they chased me. But most people don't even know that shit. The average person, if you figure there's in a pie, like 100%, maybe 10% know that kind of shit. The majority of Scientologists are never around any of that stuff. So they
now I want pie.
Me too. See, if you lived here, we could go out and have pie afterwards.
Man, I'm going to hop on a plane and come out there right now and get some pie with you.
Okay, good. I'll leave the front door open.
I see Philosophy has asked a question here. Mark, were you shocked when Tori joined you as a protester after she was in for so long? Not really. I know she was a free spirit. You couldn't hold her back, like at the first picket in Boston, where they goad her into talking to them and trying to convince them to listen to her, and there was no stopping Tori. So I was not surprised at all. She could say, "Oh, I'll go along, but I'm not going to protest." And then boom, she's out there leading the charge.
Well, ironically, I wasn't protesting. I said, I'm going to go talk to the staff.
Yeah,
But you turned it into a protest.
It was a protest.
It was good. I love the Magoo dance in Boston. If you haven't seen it, anybody here, see it. Magoo Dancing in Boston. Bunker made it. It's really one of my favorite movies. Question, Mark Bunker, how did you get interested in cult busting?
I find it fascinating. You know, it's a unique blend of Scientology, science fiction, Hollywood, and cults. Scientology is unique that way. And I've been interested in all three of those things. So this was the one that knocked on my door and protested me. So it just got me started.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy story. You know, this science fiction writer creating this self-help thing that turns into a religion and continued on after his death. How can you not be fascinated by this? I think you've got most people. If most people sat down to listen to just a little bit of the history of this, they go, "Huh? What? That's crazy."
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. It is pretty crazy. It is. I mean, even me, I look back on it and go, I can't believe, it just, I can, because like Spanky and I talk about, in the early days, there was a lot of fun that happened. I remember, do you remember what Bob Minton said to me?
No.
He and Stacy and I stayed up all night the first night when I escaped out. And the first thing he said to me is, I can't believe you would join this group. And I said, do you think I would join this group, how it is now today? And he said, yeah. And I said, hell no, never, not even for a minute. And he said, well, what did you join? And I started telling him about the old days. And at the end of it, he said, you know what, Tori, if I was there then, I probably would have joined too. It was a party, man. It was a lot of fun. It really was. It was a totally different thing. I know there's Sea Org guys that'll say, no, it wasn't. But, Spanky was in the Sea Org, but she agrees with me. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff that happened back then and interesting people. I mean, professors and musicians and artists and just really cool people.
Yeah, you could hang out with Charlie Manson there for a while.
Well, that's a different story. Scientology is like the Twilight Zone. That's true. It is. I think we have one brain or more at OT powers than Scientology. I'll have to agree with you both on that. All right, my TikTok site. Yeah, the TikTok thing has gone pretty wild. It has.
Magoo, that's remarkable. You put up a video, it got 1 million views.
A 1 minute video.
A 1 minute video.
It's something I've been talking about for years. I've been saying to people, because here in LA, they're really after Latinos, Latinas, anybody of other languages. And they've kind of given up on the white folk because we all went, now we've already done it, we're not interested. So now these other countries, they're very interested in it. They buy it. And so I said, someone's got to make a video in Spanish so people of Spanish culture don't get sucked into this. And young kids. I give out my card almost every day too. I see a young kid, I go, here, take this card. They go, what is it? And I go, well, your life is in danger. And they go, what do you mean my life is in danger? And I go, you're 15 minutes away from Scientology. And they go, oh, I've always wondered about that. I saw those Leah Remini things, but I just can't believe that's true. And I go, it is. And then I have a little talk with them and I give them my card. And I say, study up on it. Because that's what the academics who study cults said. The one thing that'll protect you from cults is learning what is a cult, what is mind control, what is, brainwashing. If you know that, you won't ever get suckered into it.
Hopefully.
So I made that one video about this for 1 minute, and it went viral. It had 1 million views the next day.
You inspired me, Tori. I opened up a YouTube channel myself. I put a video up there, 1 minute video. It's gotten 3 views.
All
3.
in good time.
Okay.
All in good time. It will. What?
Yeah.
On TikTok or YouTube? You said YouTube.
TikTok.
Okay, what's your TikTok account?
I'm pretty sure it's Xenu TV.
Oh, good.
That's be Mark Bunker.
That's good.
Anyway, I had put together the gold tone video in a vertical, like a 1 minute version of it, and put it on YouTube. And I thought, let me throw it up on TikTok too and see if anyone's watching. Nobody was watching.
Yeah.
So now that I've mentioned it, it's gonna just kaboom! It's gonna blow up. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it will.
And I tell you, I did this after. There are for folks who don't know this. Many evenings I'm driving for Uber just to make some extra bucks to pay the bills.
Right.
And there was a kid that I took over to a drug rehab program, and it was like 45 minutes away. And I said, I hope it's not Narconon. And he went, oh no, it's not. But oh my God, I know all about Narconon. And he went on and on about all of this. So we had a really nice discussion about this stuff on the way over there. And he was telling me, man, you got to get on TikTok. It's amazing. If you're on TikTok, things will explode. And he was telling me, oh, if you get 1 million hits, that's $1,000. I thought, look at the bills I could pay with $1,000. Magoo did it. I can do it. 3. I have to keep going at it, though. I just put that one up there and have not gone back to do any more.
Yeah.
And he's not the only person that I've taken to a rehab place. I just took another kid over to a different one a few days ago, and this one looked really shady. The first one that I dropped the other guy off at was one of those, clearly a lot of money in this place, security guards, gates rather, and
wow,
they're taking it seriously. This place I dropped off this other kid was the seediest neighborhood with the place was a thrift store and there was nobody there, and I felt that I can't leave this kid's abandoned here.
No.
And the ride was paid for by another friend who was clearly in distress himself, but he said, I'm paying for your drug rehab, and I'm going to get you over there, and drove him there. So I had to call this guy who had paid for it and said, there's nobody here. Is this the right address? He said, oh yeah. The guy had to step out for 10 minutes. He's going to be back. He's going to be fine. So, I think the kid appreciated the fact that I didn't just dump him off there, and I tried to get an answer for him.
I'm sure.
Yeah. The stories that
those are important times though, when somebody needs something like that. Good for you. Mm-hmm. And he didn't go to Narconon, thank God.
Yep.
Where they give him drugs. I don't know if Rib Guy's still here. Oh. He used to work at Narconon. What?
YouTube Watcher. I'm seeing YouTube Watcher put up a comment here that if I film a dance video with Feral Cheryl, I'll go viral. She makes great TikTok videos and took off during COVID. How about that?
Oh.
So I'll have to do that. Is she doing dance videos all the time? With
Feral Cheryl. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So Dylan, I got to put my glasses on here again.
Okay, and Dylan says he worked at Narconon for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine you have some stories.
Who?
Dylan.
Yeah.
It's amazing what goes on there. And when I was on the city council, there was a family that reached out to me, um, whose son was tricked into going to a Narconon facility, even though none of the paperwork said Narconon. They swore up and down it's not Scientology, but they get this kid there, and everything, all the paperwork is L. Ron Hubbard, and it's all Narconon. And in fact, I think there were some forms that did say Narcan on them, and the parents were outraged, and it was like $20,000 that I think they spent for this. The kid objected to the Scientology stuff, and they kicked him out onto the street. He said, "Okay, you're out of here, and we're keeping the money." And that happens so often, where somebody will say, "Well, wait a minute, this is Scientology crap," and
I know, it's so
they're
gross.
gone.
I had a family call me. Their son, they'd paid for their son to be at Narconon. He said one thing against L. Ron Hubbard, and they kicked him out, put him in a motel with $50, and that was it. So now roll forward, and I'm on a radio station with the parents, and they want their money back, right? And I say, that's fair. He never did the program. He said one thing against Hubbard, and they kick him out. So the head PR guy in Scientology shows up, who I knew. I forget his name, but it wasn't Mike. It was somebody else. And he shows up, and I go out in the hall, and I go, "What the hell are you doing? Give this father back his money. He's on a radio station. You sound like, thieves. It's really not okay." And he goes, "No, we're not giving him back his money." And I said, "Okay, then every time you do this, you are planting the seeds, and you will reap the benefits or the negative benefits." And obviously it continues.
But in the meantime, yeah, they've got the money, the big sums of money, and then they just changed the name of it. So it's not Narconon now; it's Fresh Start. Okay,
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It's Fresh
Yeah, they have
Start?
different names. Fresh Start is, I think, one of them. But I think there may be another name too that they use,
Wow.
because Narconon itself they're still Narconon centers, but I think they're rebranding some of them, because the public is aware.
I'm going to look up Fresh Start.
I think that's it. I could be wrong about the name.
I called Bridge and talked to him.
Yeah.
Because they're real far away now. They're not like here in LA, which they used to be for years. And Karen mentioned on the Outer Banks, "Oh, yeah, they don't have the green and red volumes anymore." And I said, "You're kidding." And she goes, "Here's the phone number. Call them." So I called them up. I said, "Hey, I'm Victoria Lee, and I want to buy some green and red volumes." And she goes, "Okay, did you do the Golden Age of Tech 2? And I lived through the Golden Age of Tech 1, which was us being the guinea pigs for that. So I just said yes. And she said, "Okay, well, then And I said, "Okay." I mean, because their bullshit is always their same bullshit, one way or the other. So I said, "How can they be auditing if you don't have the green and red volumes in the auditing rooms?" And she said, "Well, we have copies of certain things that they need in the auditing rooms." The fact is they don't do auditing anymore that much. That's the truth. They don't have thousands of people getting auditing. They don't.
Oh, well, that's true. They don't have the number of people there, but the people who are still there are still doing the auditing, though, right?
No, I don't know. The people we see when we go and protest look like 90 years old times 100. They're like these skeletons walking out of AOLA with their briefcase. It's really scary to see. It's like, wow, this is bad, really bad. They're very old, and they're very old. I'm old too, but I'm not old like that. Spooky is
I
a
am.
spooky old.
Well, Magoo,
Time to go.
I think it's about time to go. I don't want to blow this off. If you have more questions that you'd like
No,
to
I
talk
think
about,
I think this was a wonderful chat. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Dylan said rumor was they wanted to make major changes to Narconon and push Scientology harder and not hide it. And the ED president wasn't having it, so they closed. Wow. Wow. Yeah, me too. Sophie said, Erica, we're glad that your dad was onto it. Yeah, very good. All right, everybody, have a great night. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Mark, for coming and being such a brilliant guest
Oh yeah, thank you, Magooski.
and being the what is your name?
National treasure.
There you go. I have to remind you of it so you won't forget it.
Sometimes I forget because it's so unlike me to brag.
Well, goodbye, Dawn, and cute Mark. See, she's after you. You got to follow up on this. You never know.
All right.
Could be something
All
future.
right. Oh, well, okay.
He's always
I'll
so
check it out.
humble. Huh?
All right. It's time to say goodnight.
Thank you, and we will see you the next time.
Bye.
Adios, amigos, and have a happy 4th of July to everyone. A happy, safe 4th of July. This is my
Happy
Tori's
trails
matchmaking
to-
live stream. All right. So have a happy 4th of July, Mark.
Bye.